Now we turn to the urgent manhunt for the Brown University mass shooter. Police have released new images of a person they call a person of interest. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest from Providence, Rhode Island.
You're walking across a college campus that's supposed to feel safe, familiar, almost boring. And then, in a matter of minutes, everything changes. One moment, it's finals week stress, backpacks, quiet hallways. The next, panic, sirens, and a question that still hasn't been answered. How did this happen here? Before we go any further, I need you to do something small but important. If stories like this matter to you, if you believe these victims deserve to be remembered and not forgotten by tomorrow's headlines, take a second to like this video, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you don't miss what we uncover next. This is Shadow Crime, and staying connected helps these stories stay alive. Now, let's talk about Brown University, an Ivy League campus in Providence, Rhode Island. Old buildings, prestige, tradition, and a reputation for safety. Parents send their kids here believing they'll be protected by more than just security cameras, by the very idea of what a place like Brown represents. That belief shattered on a December afternoon when gunfire echoed inside an academic building during finals period. Students were where they were supposed to be, studying, reviewing notes, thinking about grades, deadlines, going home for the holidays. And then suddenly, screams, running footsteps, lockdown alerts buzzing phones all at once. 2 students would not walk out alive. Several others would be injured, some seriously. And the person responsible? Gone. One of the victims was young, just starting life, still figuring out who they were becoming. Friends describe her as driven, kind, involved, someone who showed up, someone who mattered. Another victim, even younger, had dreams that barely had time to form. Medicine, helping people, a future that now only exists in memories and photos. These weren't just names in a headline. These were people with unfinished lives, families who expected phone calls, not police officers at their doors. As the campus went into lockdown, confusion spread faster than facts. Students hid in classrooms, bathrooms, anywhere they could lock or barricade a door. Texts were sent that simply said, "I love you," because no one knew if there would be time to explain more. Outside, parents refreshed news pages, begging for clarity. Inside, law enforcement searched room by room, not knowing if the shooter was still there. And here's where the tension deepens. Hours passed, then days. Surveillance images were released. A person of interest, dark clothing, masked, seen before, seen after. But still no arrest. One person detained, then released. No charges, no answers. Just more questions stacking on top of fear. Think about that for a moment. A shooting at a university, and the person responsible simply disappears. No manifesto, no clear motive, no closure. Just a community left to replay every detail, every decision, every what if. And that's where we are now. A case that's technically open, but emotionally frozen in time. Students returning to buildings that will never feel the same. Families grieving without justice. And the rest of us watching, wondering how someone could walk into a place of learning and turn it into a crime scene, then vanish. As this story continues, ask yourself, how does a campus heal when the threat is unresolved? How do students focus on the future when the past hasn't been answered? And what does it do to the human mind when fear has no face to attach itself to?
Now we turn to the urgent manhunt for the Brown University mass shooter. Police have released new images of a person they call a person of interest. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest from Providence, Rhode Island.
New images show the person of interest police are looking for in the Brown University mass shooting. You can see the person the FBI describes as male, 5'8" with a stocky build, wearing all black and a face mask. Police say he's seen walking through campus before and after the shooting took place on Saturday.
The sooner we can identify that person, the sooner we can, I think, blow this case open. But that's work that has to happen in the next 24 to 36 hours.
FBI investigators appearing to retrace his steps outside the school, searching for evidence as they work to track him down. Officials now offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to an arrest as the community mourns the 2 students killed and 9 others injured. Sophomore Ella Cook, a piano enthusiast, remembered as a bright light in the community. The College Republicans of America posting this picture saying she was vice president of the group at Brown. 18-year-old Muhammad Aziz Umerzakov, known as kind and funny.
He was the kind of person who would laugh about his own quirks, and he taught me that it's okay to make fun of yourself. And honestly, I think it's made me much happier as a person. I've grown so much just from meeting him.
Local officials say security has been ramped up.
We have a very safe community with a lot of law enforcement resources at our disposal right now.
Many people are still concerned, though. Some private schools and colleges here in the area are closed today. Rena Roy, ABC News, Providence, Rhode Island.
As more details slowly came out, something unsettling became clear. This wasn't chaos without planning. Investigators began piecing together a timeline that suggested intention. The person seen on surveillance wasn't running randomly. He moved with purpose, passing buildings, doubling back, almost like he knew the campus well enough to blend in, but not well enough to belong. And that alone should make you pause for a second, because it raises a question none of us like asking. Was this someone from inside the Brown community, or someone who studied it from the outside? Students started talking. Not rumors, but patterns. Strange sightings before the shooting. Someone lingering. Someone watching. And after it happened, the silence was louder than the gunshots themselves. No claim of responsibility. No online trail uncovered publicly. Just a figure frozen in grainy images. Forever mid-step. Forever unidentified. Think about what that does to a campus. Every unfamiliar face suddenly feels suspicious. Every shadow feels closer. Every locked door feels temporary. Brown canceled exams, but you can't cancel fear. You can't postpone grief. You definitely can't reschedule trauma. For many students, the building where it happened is no longer just brick and glass. It's a memory trap. And then there's the part people don't talk about enough. The survivors. The students who were wounded and lived. The ones who ran and didn't look back. The ones who hid and listened. Survivors often carry guilt that doesn't make sense logically, but feels very real emotionally. Why them? Why not me? Why did I make it out when others didn't? Those questions don't fade quickly. Sometimes they never fade at all. What makes this case even heavier is the lack of a clear ending. We're conditioned to expect closure, an arrest, un motive, a courtroom, but this story refuses to wrap itself up neatly. Law enforcement continues asking for tips. A reward sits there waiting, and somewhere someone knows something. Maybe they saw something small and dismissed it. Maybe they assumed someone else would speak up. And here's where I want to hear from you. Put yourself in that position. If you thought a detail was probably nothing, would you still carry that doubt today? Would you replay it over and over at night, wondering if silence makes you complicit? Because history tells us most breakthroughs don't come from big dramatic revelations.
And I want to bring in Ref Bari. He's a student at Brown and was in the building when the shooting happened. Ref, thank you for joining us. I'm sorry that you had to go through this.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Diane.
So, Ref, you say you were heading out of the Burris Holly building on Saturday afternoon when this all started. What did you see and what did you hear?
That's right. So I'm a physics master's student at Brown. And so I had just finished talking with my T-Rex satellite team, and I was heading out of the physics master's office, which is on the first floor of Barris and Holly. And so Barris and Holly has an old side of the building, the physics end, and a new side, the engineering end. And there's a staircase that connects the two ends. And so I was heading to the diner because I was hungry. So I started walking down the staircase, and that's when I heard the first series of gunshots, like a pop, 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 quick series of 7 or 8 loud, punctual sounds behind me.
Did you know right away it was gunshots, that it was a shooting, or did you think that it was something else?
Not in that moment. When I heard the first few shots, I was confused because there's no way it could be gunshots, right? Because first of all, this is Brown. Nothing like this has ever happened, not only in Brown's history, but in any Ivy's history, to the best that I was aware. And you just don't imagine that as the first thing, right? I thought that maybe this is some construction sounds, or I don't know. It couldn't be gunshots, but just in case. So I had briefly glanced behind me and turned back to the lobby, and the entire lobby was empty. And so I thought, okay, there's no one there. It can't be gunshots. But then, as I kept walking down the staircase, another series of like quick pop 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 sounds like reemerged, and then there was no mistaking it. I just ran as fast as.
Did you see anybody else react? Did you see people running? Did you hear anybody screaming?
So yeah, so in front of me is Brown's Commons area. So the Barrison Holly has a Commons area, and in that common area there was about 100 students studying for final exams or final projects. And at the moment that I started running, 5 or 6 other people were also running at the same time. But I was like one of the first few to run because I was heading to the diner anyway. I didn't like think that there was going to be like an active shooter behind me, but that's why I was one of the first few people running. But in the beginning, like the 100 or so students who were like taking exams, they started to take off their headphones and like started to stop doing whatever they were doing. But when the second series of gunshots started, like there was like a massive like run for the doors.
So what happened next after you ran out of the building?
So I ran as fast as I could to try to get as far away as fast as I could from Barrison Holly. And so I ran to the other side of the street, and on the other side of the street is the science library. So Brown has this huge science library on the other side of the street, and people were just streaming out of the science library like it was another Saturday, because people have no idea what's happening literally like next door. And so I start screaming, active shooter, run. And a bunch of kids, they see me, they get confused when I scream that, and then they start to run in another direction. I just keep running as fast as I can. I run in the general direction of my apartment, which is up on Thayer Street, but I have no idea what's going through my head. It's like just blank. I FaceTime my parents just so they can see that I'm running. As I'm running, I'm running the same way. And I just tap her on the shoulder and I ask her, hey, do you know what's going on? Are you running from Barrison Holly? And she's like, yeah, I'm also running. I think there's like shots in Barrison Holly. And I ask her like where she's going and if I can hide with her. And so her name is Allie, and she very kindly takes me in to her apartment. So we hide in, that's right there. We hide in her bathroom. Allie, I, and 2 of her friends in her bathroom for 2 hours. We lock all the windows, close all the blinds, lock the doors, and yeah, that's what happens.
Rev, how do you feel now that the police say they released the person of interest that they had in this case?
It's just so scary. I mean, you can't. I can't imagine how scary it is to still be there. Thankfully, like my parents came like last night at like 12:30 a.m. and picked me up, but like some of my friends are still in their dorms, and I can't imagine, like, I don't know, it's just scary, right? You have an active shooter on the loose, like he could be outside, not to like panic anyone, but he could be outside any moment.
Has the school said anything to you about stepping up security or any other way that they're responding?
To the best of my knowledge, police activity is heightened in the area. Final exams are canceled. That's all I know.
All right, Brown University student Ref Bari. Ref, we're glad you're safe. Thank you for sharing your story with us, and our heart goes out to you and all your friends there at Brown.
Thank you, Diane.
They come from moments people almost ignore. A door held open, a person walking the wrong way at the wrong time, a gut feeling that didn't feel important enough to act on. And when a case stays open like this, those moments start to feel heavier. Because now, the question isn't just who did this. It's how many people cross paths with the truth without realizing it. Investigators have been careful with what they release, and that silence has created space for fear to grow. Not facts, fear. Students talk about how quiet the campus feels now. Not peaceful quiet. Alert quiet. The kind where footsteps echo longer than they should, where laughter feels out of place, where people still glance over their shoulders without thinking about it. And then there's a twist that makes this case different from so many others. No known motive. No public connection between the victims and the person believed to be responsible. No argument. No warning signs that anyone can point to and say, that's where it started, which forces us into uncomfortable territory. Because when there's no obvious reason, the randomness becomes the scariest part. If this wasn't personal, then it could have been anyone, any classroom, any campus, any ordinary day. That thought alone changes how people move through the world. It chips away at the illusion of safety we depend on just to function. Families of the victims are left in a cruel limbo, mourning while waiting, grieving without answers, trying to remember their loved ones as more than the way they died. Friends post photos and memories, try and keep them human in a world that reduces them to statistics. And every day without an arrest feels like another wound that doesn't close. I want you to think about something with me. What does justice look like when time keeps passing? Is it an arrest? A confession? Or is it simply the truth, no matter how late it arrives? And what happens if that truth never comes? Cases like this don't just test law enforcement. They test communities. They test empathy. They test how long we care once the news trucks leave. Because attention fades fast, but pain doesn't. So as we sit here together, talking about this, ask yourself a few things. How much uncertainty can the human mind live with before it breaks? How does fear change who we trust and how we see strangers? And if the person responsible is watching all of this unfold, what does that say about guilt, power, and control? If these questions stay with you, then this story has done what it needs to do. And if you believe stories like this deserve patience, depth, and respect, stay with Shadow Crime. Like this video, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you don't miss what comes next. Because silence is what cases like this feed on, and here we don't look away.